on August 2021. He also authored various articles on information security and digital forensic in national and international publications, and started India's first and only digital forensic publication, that is Forensics. You can search it from www.digitalforensicsjournal.com. As Sir is joined with us, now I request Dr. Santosh Khadgare Sir for his lecture. Please, Sir, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, I feel the introduction should be short, so that it becomes much easier for the audience. Anyway, I'll share my screen, then we'll start with the presentation, or I'll call it a discussion or an interaction, because this is a field where, you should interact and you should be able to answer many questions. So let me share my screen. If you can see my screen, you can just, okay. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good morning to all of you, and on a Saturday morning and the last day of the FDP, I know you all must have gone through a lot of, you can say, technological discussions. But this discussion, I am 100% sure I'll make it interesting, and you'll feel that it's a good culmination of the FDP program which is run. And before I forget, I should thank the university and especially Vaishnav Vishwavidyalaya, because every time they call me, and I'm really happy that to be present here with you all. So today, what I have been given the topic is regarding digital forensics challenges and you can say the case studies as such. And interesting part is the program is to deal with the recent advancements in criminal justice system. In fact, I would say that recent advancements in criminal justice system, what I mean to say, at least the advancements are happening. So that is one interesting part, especially in the digital forensics field. Or it was always a evolving, you can say, structure. But when it comes to forensics as such, digital assets as such, there's still a very long way to go, I'll call it that way. So with that as a backdrop, already I've been introduced. What I would like to say here is that being in forensics, forensics is a field which is directly connected to the justice system, right? Because when we introduce forensics as a field, it is not introduced as a technical field, it is introduced as a techno-legal field. Because anything and everything what you do has effects, or it culminates with the justice given to the victim or the, you can say, accused also in that matter. So all your reports, whatever you present or whatever you make or whatever you derive or whatever facts you produce to the court of law, they are actually understood, analyzed, and then the proper, you can say, a verdict is given on your particular aspect. So you are a very important, you can say, a cog in the wheel, or very important, you can say, part of the criminal justice system. So a short disclaimer before I start, whatever I discuss will be nothing related to the cases which I have solved while I was in with say organizations, government organizations, and the cases which are on in the courts as expert witness. Now, since I've mentioned the word expert witness, let me tell you, in most of the courts, or in all the courts, when the FSL or the, you can say, CFSLs, they produce the reports, or the IO produce the reports of this particular laboratory. Then the signatory of that report is called as an expert witness to the court of law. So I've had the honor, I'll say, to be the expert witness in most of the cases, right? So in that case, I would like to say the expert witness, the court decides whether you qualify to be an expert witness or not. And if you qualify, then only you are taken, your witness statement is taken, and then whatever technical advice you give to the court is taken into consideration. So this is very interesting and important fact. So it is not necessary, or that you may be a very, you can say, a prominent personality in digital forensics, but if the court doesn't accept you as expert witness, then you cannot depose as expert witness. So this is how it is. And in the courts, over my experiences, I've realized that in the most simplistic manner, if you are able to convince or convey what you have actually done, then it is more, you can say, easier for both the sides to actually come to some conclusion and do your task what is mandated to you. Now, I'll start with a case study again, since we have been told that we'll be discussing a case study. Maybe some of must have heard of it, but from the forensic point of view, I would like to discuss this case study. This is about an application. Now, all of us actually uses a lot of applications for various activities. So this is of an application on a mobile phone. And you know, in mobile phone, you have a lot of applications, but very rarely, you know, what few applications are just on your phone which do particular, you can say, tasks, but you're not aware why it is there. Now, in a few technical facts I would like to tell you here is that while doing mobile extraction or acquisition in forensics, there are various procedures and techniques which are used. I'll mention a few so that you understand that. One is we call it logical extraction. Now, logical extraction is anything you see with the visual or naked eye, means you can be able to see it, which you see that, and whatever you can extract, we call it as a logical extraction. Then we come to file system extraction, where we operating system hidden files you can find out, or you can extract those hidden files. So that is known as file system extraction. Coming to the best method of extraction if a device is on or which is switched on is called as physical extraction, in which you get the deleted contents of that particular mobile. So starting from logical to physical. And there are many more other techniques which, if the damage condition, like you go to JTAG, chip-off, ISP in system programming, will not get into that. For this case study, you understand that this case mobile was in switch-on condition, and we were to extract the data or acquire the data from this particular device. Usually, the first step in forensics, what we do is we go for although physical is the best kind of extraction, we go for logical extraction, because at least we have something to produce in the court of law, whatever is visible. And because physical extraction is a tedious process, and in that process, there are chances where a mobile phone can crash or it can go into some other mode, which may be a bit difficult to acquire. Although the aim is not to damage the phone or destroy the phone, but I'm just telling you the techniques may damage the phone. In this case, once we knew that that there were two applications, APKs like executable files, we tried to do the extraction, but we could not get, after we did that extraction in a physical extraction. These were the two applications, how they look. So they both are calculator apps. But one of the app was supposed to be some secret, you can say, encrypted folder or vault, what I'm calling. So, but how do we get to how would we open this particular, you can say, the so-called encrypted application? So after doing the physical extraction, I said from the deleted contents, we were able to get hold to the root of that and get the configuration file of the application, APK file, that is the executable file. And once we got that executable file, we were able to get you can say, some interesting password or PIN. Now, this is shown on your screen. It's just one screenshot, but there are hundreds and thousands of lines of code which are written for a particular application. And once we entered that particular code in that particular app and went ahead, we were able to extract or acquire all the content which were hidden in that particular encrypted vault or the application. And it had all what the investigating officer was looking. So now I just told you a case study, but in say around 3 to 4 minutes, but it takes around, a month plus to actually come to this conclusion or come to this. Before going ahead, one thing, because this is very interesting fact, which the courts always bring out, and which even as a forensic examiner or professional I should bring out, is that in forensics, in digital forensics is one, you can say, sub-vertical of forensic science. There are many other verticals in that. You must have already learnt about that. So in this digital forensic, which is the newest field, it is just 30 years old. And it has so many sub-verticals in that every new technology gets a forensic sub-vertical added to it. Now, if you say deepfakes are coming in, right? So deepfakes then you have cloud, so cloud forensics. You have automobile sector having technology, automobile forensic, IoT forensic, SCADA, you have SCADA forensic, and so on and so forth. So every you can say for sub branch within the forensics, digital forensics, this is a field in itself. Now, when you go to what is the aim of digital forensics, all we have learned it, read it everywhere, but most of them don't understand. It's a very simple definition. Like my aim as a forensic expert is to prepare a digital evidence to be produced in the court. It should be legally tenable. Sound forensic techniques. These are the words which are used: legally tenable, sound forensic techniques. And so for a layman, it is that it should stand the legal scrutiny. Where and means it should not be, it should be a scientific method, I'll call it. Okay. Am I clear till now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you have definitions which are already been coined at various levels. This is one of the definitions which is used. It is by Digital Forensic Research Workshop in 2001. Now, main thing to highlight or address is that it is basically a scientifically derived method. Means anything can be proved by science, and you are recreating the digital evidence in the digital domain. So, before going ahead, one very important aspect is that when we do this task, what are we doing? We are in front of the court. What are we actually giving? We are actually giving only the statement of fact, or not the court, but the IO, because the IO is given as the case for analysis. So we are only giving the statement of fact, which is again produced to the court by the IO. We cannot put, we means the forensic analyst cannot put the man behind the machine. I can say that this thing happened from this machine, and this is the modus operandi, or this is how it happened, and this is what happened. But I can't say that Santosh did it or someone else did it. It's the task of the IO to do it. So my job or my task ends by just putting the statement of fact. Rest all is an investigating matter, and it is done by the IO, and then of course the decision by the courts. So this is very interesting. Otherwise, I've seen few forensic people coming to conclusion that this person did it. So that is a wrong thing, and we should restrict ourselves from actually coming to conclusions while doing analysis. There are various stages in forensics. This is a theoretical thing, but let me tell you, every stage is equally important, and any stage missed or done in the wrong manner actually takes your cases to a, you can say, null and void. Your case becomes null and void. If you just see the success rate of forensic cases in courts, it's very minimal, minuscule. It's not even 2 figures. So why it is happening so? Because the proper procedures and processes and whatever is laid down norms are not being followed by someone in the chain. Someone, it may be the first responder or the IO who's collecting the evidence. It may be at the laboratory level, but nowadays laboratories are more refined, right? They have the procedure in place. We have the IT Act, or we have a provision under the IT Act under 79 Alpha, where the government notifies a lab as an examiner of electronic evidence as per the global standards of 17025, and a few more other things. So the labs, there is less chances where things go wrong. Most of the things go wrong is during the acquisition of the seizure methods, or during the, you can say, transportation. This where things go wrong when it comes to this. But that doesn't mean it can't go wrong at the laboratory level. Firstly, one thing about forensics, digital forensics, it's very interesting, where a few people don't understand, or a few people get confused, I'll put it that way. When you see a digital forensic terminology used, right, there are 2 different things. One is DFR that I'll speak of. One is, people say, is it cyber forensics or whether it is digital forensics, right? So I'll give the answer first. It is, both are same. It is interchangeably used by most of the experts. But I prefer calling it digital forensics for one reason, that if you say cyber forensics, anything connected, platform, networks, anything which is there, right? Everything comes under cyber. Okay. But digital is something a bit more. Say, if I say a calculator, whether it will fall into cyber, any calculating or computing device which is not connected, maybe a standalone, it also falls under the category. So digital forensics is a much right terminology, but both are right. As I said, it is interchangeably used. So don't get confused. The cyber forensic lab bolte, digital forensic lab pe nahi bolte. So that should not confuse you. Second important aspect, I would just say, you see that this is always connected to incident response. You say DFIR. Even when I write, say I'm a DFIR professional, digital forensics and incident response. So let me tell you one thing, digital forensics is a part of incident response, right? So whenever cyber incident happens, apart from the other technical members, you have one member who is a forensic expert or digital forensics, you can say professional, who becomes a part of the team and ensures that the evidence is collected in the sound forensic manner from the crime scene, a digital asset, maybe a network, maybe a server farm, maybe a data center, and so on and so forth. That's one thing. But there's one more difference. One it is associated with DFIR, and other it is independent in itself. It has its own identity. For example, any cases having to any law enforcement agency, they go on seize and seize. That they don't require a cyber incident to happen for that. So that cases come to the laboratory. So forensics, digital forensics is independent in itself, and it is also a part of incident response. So that should be there. So we have two different identities to uphold. The difference is if a DFIR incident takes place, the report, you're not the signatory, the DFIR head becomes the signatory, and you're just giving your inputs to the DFIR report because it has much more. When the cases come to the laboratory from the law enforcement, you are actually a signatory to that report, and you are the only originator. You are the originator and the signatory also. And so you're called as a called to the courts, right? So I hope I'm able to convey this particular thing. Now, issues, we are speaking of challenges. These are just, I'll speak of a lot of challenges. These are just few things. In technology or in theory, when we teach to students as academic, we say that digital evidence is volatile, RAM is volatile. This is how we start teaching, when we speak of storage media. So when we speak of volatility, mostly we refer to the, you can say the RAM or, the temporary memory as such. But is it true in today's scenario? No, because now any storage media coming, we had the old technologies of, you can say platter and read-write head and storage in magnetic form. Now we have SSDs where the technology is totally different. You have the you can say the ROMs, and you have so the storage is in some other form. The technology is different, and that also is volatile. If you must have studied solid state devices, there's a concept of data evaporation. Why it happened? Because the technology used. Did it happen in the old kind of storage media? No. So evidence volatility is now no more restricted to, say, you can say temporary memories. It is also comes. It has also taken over. It is also now possible in the storage medias which are coming, and that is a very important aspect. I would like to just tell a case study again here. In one of the cases, what we do is when a case comes to the laboratory. Now there are so many thousands of cases pending in laboratories. I just visited few laboratories last week. You will not believe the pendency at the laboratory is more than 20,000 per laboratory. You can imagine. So, so in that scenario, what happens when something comes to the laboratory? You cannot take a case for analysis. It will take 6 months at least for that case to come to your table. 6 months, 1 year also for that matter. And it's a global pendency. Don't worry. It's not only with India. Globally also the pendency is 3 to 6 months. India, it may be a bit more, another 3-4 months you can add to it, or 6 months to it, double that. So whenever case comes, what we do is we look at we open the case, we see the documents, whether it's as per the norms, as per all the documents which are there. And you usually make an image and keep the case till you get it for analysis. Some cases you just see through a write blocker, you do a triaging, what we call, and we don't do imaging at that moment. We do a triage and we see if we can see something related to a case. In one such case we saw that it was related to some financial fraud. So we saw the documents which are there, and we were sure that now this is a very open and shut case, but it does not have priority, so we kept it. And when we noted down, okay, these are the evidence, probably this is the location. After 6-8 months, when we took over that case for analysis, we did not find those evidences. Now it was very shocking, and means how can it happen that when we have seen ourselves, where did that evidence go? Then we realized, and when we went into the actually thing that the solid state device, it was a solid state device storage medium. So, and that the data evaporation, write amplification, there are many concepts, trim, data evaporation, write application, data over provisioning. These are various concepts in solid state devices, and proprietary compression and all things are there. So you can lose evidence. That is the moral of the story. If you don't use proper. So yes, we have solutions for that. Immediately you can take images and keep and mention in the chain of custody or in your report that it is a solid state device. And if it's not more, the technology itself will explain itself. So this is how volatility, what I want to tell. Fragility also, very interesting things happen. It's very fragile, means it can be untampered, means anyone you go for seizure, they try to destroy the phone, either break it. Most of them try to, wipe it remotely, or they'll try to break the data ports or power points so that you're not able to charge and restart the phone. So these things happen. And these are the very basic issues or common issues by the law enforcement. I was speaking of sub branches. I've just mentioned few of them. He started with computer forensics, which was renamed as digital forensic. Then within computer, you had memory, then you had OS, then came the network, you have network forensic, cloud. Nowadays, most of the cases coming are related to, you can say, cloud, network, IoT. Drone cases are coming in a bigger way, right? Mobiles, of course, it's there. It's the, you can bread and butter of forensic lab nowadays. Every case has this. And these are going on increasing with the technology. As I said, now we have SCADA coming in, IoT, IIoT, you name it, and you have a different, sub branch in the forensic, digital forensics, which gets added to it. Few facts, most of the, as on date, most of the cases coming are smartphones, variables are increasing. Okay, let me tell you one more thing here. Now, most of the people say, after the case is solved, they say, yeah, you have done a wonderful job. But let me tell you one thing. In our field of forensics, we have more failures than successes. 70 times we fail. I'm just giving an approximate figure. So the success rate is very less. If you get, so no one tells about the failure because there are so many technical challenges which come in front of you. And if you resolve it, it's well and good. If you don't resolve, you hit a roadblock. Every new device coming in has a security mechanism, encryption mechanism, some measures in place. And it is not always, or most of them are locked. 50% devices are locked, right? So, and most of the data is in the cloud. So a lot of, you can say, aspects regarding to legality, localization, they also affect the forensic process. I always speak of this primary challenge of, data problem of plenty and problem of capacity, which is a very basic problem in forensics. Now, problem of plenty, everyone knows 10 years back in your house, you had one mobile, right? Now, if you go to your house, you'll have access point and 10 other devices. So the per person gadgets have increased. That is a problem of plenty. And problem of capacity, you had a device which was say 1 GB. Now you have terabytes of means capacity is just increasing exponentially. Okay. Now, how is it affecting us as a forensic professional or an analyst? It is actually affecting the processing and reviewing powers, reviewing of the time. It increases the processing time and it increases the reviewing time, right? So the delay in cases happens, and this is how it is. It's not indirectly; it is actually directly affecting the, you can say, the outcome, or you can say the efficiency of the laboratory. So this is one important aspect. I just spoke about solid state devices. So solid state devices, like, you have a control, like in a normal computer, you have one CPU which runs the computer. If a solid state device is associated with computer, you have two CPUs, one which is the computer and one which is on the solid state device itself. It's a microcontroller on every solid state device has a microcontroller, which is doing various functions. So as I said, this is a technological change. Regarding mobile forensics, I mentioned in the first case study about this thing, logical extraction, what you get, physical and deleted. There are many more ahead. I will not get into the technical part of these things, but this is just for academic understanding. Now, mobile forensics brings us new challenges. New challenges mean you have physical tampering, I've just mentioned. Okay, now in mobiles, the concept of forensic acquisition of data is different. in storage media, what we do is we have a imaging device or a cloning device which images bit by bit, means it makes a replica of that particular storage, right? But in mobile, the concept is you have to inject the agent into the device and then extract the data. So if you ask me, it is, you may call it as a tampering of device, maybe yes, to some extent, but this is how it does. Now, how do we address this from integrity point of view? Because then we do part-wise hashing. So when you say mobiles, anything is extracted, the SIMs, the contact list has a different hash list, every image has a hash, so that even if you're injecting an agent and extracting the data, you're not affecting the actual artifacts of that particular device. This is maybe a bit technical, but yes, this is how it is. Then you have other phones of other makes, and every tool, there's no free tool for mobile, open source tool for mobile, you can say analysis or acquisition. If there is any, it will not, it will be a very least helpful, I'll put it that way. But even if the world-class commercial, globally accepted tools which are there, or you can say software which are there, every software has a support for different kind of set. So if you have two different tools, some mobile will be supported by one tool, some mobile will be supported by other tool. So there are different things. There's something called as very interesting, which all of us hear in news and all. Some photo is sent, but there's nothing to it. Data, we say exif data stripping. Whenever you upload to any social media platform, whatever the contents of that particular image, or it gets stripped off to make the image light, and it can be, so that it can be transferred fast. So that's why the data stripping goes on. Localization, I told you, nowadays it's not only about the device, it's about many other factors: cloud, network, your servers. Now, few interesting facts which you should know when we speak about mobile forensic. You must have heard, like hot coffee, cold coffee. We have hot device, cold device. Okay. Now, what is the difference between hot device, cold device? Simple. If hot device is in a switch on condition, cold device is in a switch off condition when seized. Now, how is it important from forensic point of view? It is always strongly recommended to have a hot device, because when you have a hot device in place, it's already in a de-encrypted form, right? If means it's already bypassed few of the passwords, and it becomes easier for the tool oblique the analyst to carry out the task. If it's a cold device, it has to boot. It may have file-based encryption, or I'll come to the next point. You have the full disk encryption or file-based encryption, which will create a lot of issues for the examiner. A new concept of SIMs. So you don't require a SIM card anymore. You have eSIMs in your mobile. So if you don't analyze and you switch on the mobile in the laboratory or somewhere, you may actually lose the integrity, or remote wiping can be enabled. There are many mobiles which in these cases have happened. And one interesting case, one of the laboratories told me, in one mobile they found around 30 odd SIMs. Surprising, but that was used for some bookie or some kind of that kind of transactions. Anyway, bootloader and client extraction is basically related to how you extract the I said you inject the agent. So whether it's you load it in the bootloader or it's in the client extraction, these are two different things. When it comes to rooting or jailbreaking, it is basically related to the operating system, like whether in Android you do rooting, in iOS you do jailbreaking. Now, these kinds of devices come and you are expected to extract data out of it. And don't be surprised that this data is extracted from such kind of environment. Also, if you have the proper skill set and resources, that is one shortcoming in the country as such. We need a lot of technical resources in terms of hardware, in terms of skilled manpower. That is where academia has to pitch in. Now, coming on to anti-forensic techniques, we speak. See, if it's encryption or steganography is used, or it's wiped data, or disk degaussing is done, or even overwriting falls under the anti-forensic technique. And as per the law, if any of these techniques are used, you can be punished. You can be punished. There's a provision under this, and obfuscation takes place. I'll not spend more time on this. I have a lot to cover, and time is running out. Now we are going to smart cities. Smart cities is an interesting concept, and even our government is pushing thing, a very good thing. But you see, now there are advantage and disadvantage from the forensics point of view. Now you have the open market, open space. You can see so many places in a smart city environment. Like if you see this, you will have so many, you can say, environments from which evidence has to be collected. So you have smart grids, you have UAVs, you have smart vehicles, you have IoT sensors, you have cloud, and so different types of data is retrieved. So you imagine the number of resources in terms of hardware, software, HR, which will be required when the smart city comes in, and any incidents happen in the smart city environment, right? So, and you see, if you just take UAVs, or you can say drones also fall into that category, or other UAVs kind of. So see where you can find the evidentiary data, which has evidence. It can be in the controller, it can be in the cloud, it can be in the drone, and so on and so forth. So it is going to be a huge, or it has already become a very huge thing and a complex thing. So as a, you can say, as a, if you're actually telling your students about careers, within this field also there are so many careers. That's what I'm trying to tell. So this you can, there someday we can have a career session also with your college or institution. I mean, that's a very interesting thing. Coming on to resource challenges, I've actually segregated the challenges. You have human resource is a very big challenge. Nowadays, I'm also conducting a lot of internships with a lot of students. But these are only entry points. When I said human resource, after 23 or 24 years, I have also not screwed up in all the sub branches of forensics, because as I said, every time there's a new branch which comes up with a new technology, right? So what I'm trying to say, you require HR or human resources in every particular sub vertical of digital forensics. In colleges, if you have project related to SCADA forensics or IoT forensics, or related to say something related to GPS or something related to automotive. So these are the new things, deep fakes, right? So these are the many things which are coming. So human resources is a very important thing. Tools, forensic tools are very expensive now, but I still recommend college should set up the labs. They can have some open source workbenches for training students, but a few commercial tools, at least student licenses, so they can teach. If you don't train them on the right tools, then actually you're not training them. Having a sorry to say, I've been a part. I am usually a part of a lot of academic discussions and FDP programs, and I go to colleges and all. What I realized the shortcoming is, firstly, the instructors or the professors. You don't have professors for this particular niche field. It's not the response, or not. I'm not blaming the institution, but there are very less people in the environment, right? Secondly, the tools are very expensive. The budgets may not be there, but there are options, there are solutions. You have to find solutions. As I said, you can have open workbenches and 1 or 2 academic licenses. It still works. You can have a good functional lab. And if you train on them, the confidence comes, the people, they get hired, they get internships. So that's how you have to go about. Training is also very expensive. That's why I have started training people when I was within the government, outside also. It's not on tool or technique based training, but on, I call it on the task based training. If a student is, or if a professional is going to a task of first responder, we train them only on the first responder. If he's going to do an examiner, he's trained only on the examiner. Because tool-based training, if you get some other tool, you'll again hit the roadblock. So you should know your task. If I have to do an imaging task, whichever tool comes in front of me, I should be able to do the imaging task. If I'm an analyst, whichever option I have of doing the analysis, I should, whether it's manual, open source, commercial, I should be able to do that. So training in academia has to change. Or teaching about training in academia has to change from tool-based to task-based training. And so the curriculum also has to change. I'm interacting with topmost universities in the country and even outside few of them, and helping them to curate specific training programs for the students, right? So it can be a part of a diploma course, it can be a part of a subject introduced at a, you can say MSc, BS. One more thing, misconception, only BTechs can come into forensic. It's wrong. Anyone having a, you can say, IT background, maybe MCS, BCS, BSc. In fact, commerce graduate also can come. Law graduate also can come as cybercrime lawyers. You can find they are also, but they are trying to understand technology. So that has to be taken. And it's not necessary you be a BTech or MTech. You can be a normal diploma holder also, still you have a job role in this. So someday in careers, I can discuss this directly with the students. Now, when it comes to laboratory, there are a lot of things. I've already discussed the damaged devices, packing, transportation, integrity, which is the thing in forensic. OEM and open source tools. I've told you, you can have commercial tools, you can have open source tools, but you should have few commercial tools there available, because finally they are going to work on that. But to run your curriculum, you can still run on open source tools, right? So that is that. Then backlogs I have concentrated. These are all laboratory challenges. Now coming on to technical challenges, because this is a techno-legal field, I said. So there are a lot of challenges. I also told you the success rate. People sometimes they are surprised. They say, "Sir, आप ऐसे कैसे बोल सकते हो कि यार failure आपके तो इतने cases हैं." But they don't know that I have failed so many times and I still fail on every case. Every case is different, right? So that's one thing. Like in computer forensics, we have something, we deal with memory, we deal with encryption, with anti-forensic techniques, with the type of technology used. Coming to mobile, you have hidden spaces, you have to use advanced techniques. So I can go on different types of every sub branch has its own set of challenges. You understand that. So if you are training students, and at academia, I don't expect you to train on everything, but I want to say at least in academia, you should be able to make the basic foundation clear for the students, right? By giving them an environment or giving them an insight. And if there are specific courses which are being planned for a particular sub branch, then it's a different thing. It can be a course launched on you launch a course on only mobile forensics. You launch a course only in IoT. But if you are giving as a cyber or digital forensics as a diploma or as a course, then it is a subject in itself. Okay. So this is there. Now, other challenges, there are no international cyber laws, is a challenge. Standards. There's no, like we don't have an Indian standard, but there are some national standards globally acceptable. We have NIST, we have SWEDGE. There's a very interesting program run by NIST called the CFTT, Computer Forensic Tool Testing Program. Now people ask me, which tool should I choose when I want to buy for my industry or for teaching? I say, go to the CFTT site. It will tell you what you tell the requirement, or you see your requirement, and it will tell you the tool. And those tools are actually vetted, and they are actually, you can say, tested by a NIST organization, which is CFTT, which is globally acceptable. So it's not that I'm promoting my tool where I go or promoting the wrong tool. I will tell that. GDPR, yes, data protection bill is gone back, but it will surely bounce back. I'm 100% sure on that PDP bill. GDPR is in Europe, and it's been implemented. But from forensic point of view, we'll have a lot of challenges because the privacy, how we are going to address the privacy of while we are actually carrying out analysis. Am I supposed to see all your personal data while doing analysis? That's a question. How do I restrict myself from not abusing the mandate which is being given to me? So this is a question, maybe this will be addressed. Expert witness, as I said, I go to the courts and they ask you all sort of questions. Is the start, I remember a court asking me, okay, tell me how an electron functions. So I don't know, means I was confused, am I discussing forensics? But yes, you have to explain each and everything. So there are various ways how we solve this. So after that, I started giving FAQs at the end of the report. These you read, this should be read by anyone who is reading my report. So these are the basics. What is a hash? What is integrity? How? What is imaging? What kind of this? So these basic questions, FAQs are given. I was thinking of the other branches which are coming out, which are catching up now is IoT, cryptocurrencies, blockchains, virtual machines, deepfakes, audio, video, AI, ML. So these things are new things coming, and this forensics will have to deal with it. Way ahead, I discussed with a lot of people, yeah, we should try to use the latest technologies in some of the aspects of forensics, and people are already working on this. Now, I mentioned about problem of plenty, problem of capacity. So you can use artificial intelligence to solve these problems. Tools for addressing privacy issues, limited access to artifacts, you can give it by obfuscating other aspects of that particular, you can say, whatever you are reading. Forensic readiness is very important. Standardization of encryption. Every SSD has a different kind of compression or encryption, which is proprietary to that vendor. So it is not even a global standard. So that is a big issue. This is regarding internal cooperation, very less to do with academia, but yes, we should have some working groups at the national level. Capacity building, collaboration. As I said, we need technology to come in or develop within. We are developing within. Yes, there's no doubt. But what I feel is that in the niche field as such, we should be at par, or we should also be studying other technologies and seeing that we reached at that particular level. This is just 2 slides. I'll just, in one sentence, I'll explain. Initially, we used to do reactive forensics. Coming to the lab, we should do the analysis. Then we started doing proactive forensics by seeing the lab. Now is the time for predictive forensics. You should be able to you should predict what is going to happen and carry out the analysis and give the results so that an incident can be averted. So this is the stage, or this is the way forward from reactive to proactive to predictive. So that is how we should look. And in that, we'll have to use technologies like machine learning, blockchain, and other disruptive technologies which are there in place. Although I know it sounds futuristic, but yeah, that is the way ahead. What I feel, that's my opinion. Now coming to I'll do one case study because I've already done 11:30 and I can take questions further. I've already gone around 50 minutes. So this case, everyone read about ransomware attack on Colonial Pipeline. It happened last year. It is a very big case study in our, not only in cybersecurity, but in forensics, means in our groups also. Now, in this Colonial Pipeline was incident took place, and it was a ransomware attack in which a lot of systems data was encrypted and exfiltrated, and also that system had to go offline for 7 days, causing a lot of loss in terms of financial loss, in terms of creating a panic among people where the fuel was not available for people. Hoarding happened, the prices went high. So by one small incident, or I'll not call it small incident, by one incident, so many things were affected. And now coming on to this, when we speak of, say, like petroleum company, nuclear, electrical grids and all, they have different networks. What we see in our colleges, institutions, in industry is call it the enterprise network or the IT networks. Usme you find you find servers, you find firewalls, you find routers, you find other kind of services, website, this and that, and so on and so forth. But when we come to you can say ICS, industrial control system, or SCADA, we have something more to it. Yes, IT enterprise network is there, but you have sensors, you have PLCs, you have human machine interfaces, and many other sensors which are collecting the data and pushing it to the IT network. So in this case also, there was an IT network. We call it the OT, operational technology network. And this was compromised in Colonial Pipeline, and ransom was paid. Ransom was paid of 5 million. But the interesting part of the ransom paid, or the money given, it was given in cryptocurrencies, in Bitcoin. And that was distributed in at least more than 30 odd places, or more places the money had gone. But the investigating agency was able to recover 80% of the ransom money which was taken from the company. It's very interesting. So that means they had access to the blockchain, they had access to this. But how did they come to know who were behind it? Forensics played a very important role. And you will see this is one kind of his memos which were issued. It is 7 June 21. For you nowadays you see seizure memos to seize this computer, seize this car. This was given in a virtual world. This was for a blockchain, or it was given for a specific address where money was transferred. So seizure for the warrant for seizure was given for you can say private key of that particular wallet or that. So this is how technology and how forensics is going hand and going forward. I'll not take more case studies. In fact, due to time, I would like to discuss few things with you in the 15-20 minutes left with me. But what I want to tell you, this is a very challenging field. It is the future. There are a lot of scope for research. There's a lot of scope for career. There's a lot of scope for you can say making our country a leader in a lot of things apart from HR, which we are capacity building, even in technology. So at academic level or academic institution level, you can encourage students, academia, professors to take up project research and even do some capacity building, of course, which is being done. There's no doubts on that. So that's what I would like to say on my presentation, and I would like to stop it here and go for a discussion for the next 15 minutes. I hope I have been able to throw some light on this field with few case studies. I have a lot of case studies, but case studies, I will say while discussion, if something comes to my mind, I will surely put it across.
Yes, sir, definitely. Thank you so much. You have shared your valuable experiences and case studies and very important topics with us. And now the participants are requested if they want to ask any question, you can please raise their hands.
Yes, ma'am, I have one question.
Yes, sir, please.
Sir, before Russia, please unmute, ma'am.
Not audible.
Before Russia invades Ukraine military, first Russia attacks Ukraine through cyber war.
Okay.
Please comment on this area.
Okay, this is the normal now. Warfare has changed. It's a normal now. It's a norm, what we call. Because if you cripple the systems and the infrastructure before getting into, if the telecommunication lines are down, if the cyber networks are down, everything is now interconnected and digitized. Even the artillery or the guns or machineries are digitized. They get the GPS coordinates from satellites. Their movement is this. So the first target nowadays, before any, you can say what is a break in war or when there's action, is in fact before a war, this kind of activities is now a norm, and you should be ready for this kind of activities. And this also happened. There are a lot of, and one interesting thing happened in this particular conflict is that there were sites which were taken by you can say various hacking groups. So there were 20, 30 hacking groups which were supporting a particular country, and others were supporting the other country. And they were assisting in defacing website, getting the critical infrastructure down. That is one aspect. And second is the state. The country itself was attacking another country. So this is a normal thing. It will, and let me tell you, it is not that it happens only during the conflict. It happens during peacetime. Most of the things happen during peacetime. If I've compromised a network and I'm sitting in a network, I will not use it when it's in peace. When there's going to be a conflict, that is the time when I will use my persistence or what I have actually compromised your network, right? So, but during conflict or just before the conflict, it will be on a full scale. That time you'll see the effects coming into it. So it is mostly a peacetime activity, but mostly the results are seen during you can say before the conflict happens. So this is what is it. And other factors now are that, as I said, everyone takes sides. So some group will try to do this, other group will try to do this, and this is how it happens.
Any participants, please raise your hand so we can unmute yourself.
Sir, I have more question one. Sir, actually, I am looking in the digital forensic area. So I'm doing the physical as well as logical imaging in the devices also. First of all, if you get the non-allocated recovery of any sectors, we require the physical imaging. So only the logical will not be getting any deleted data. So how is safest to the physical imaging?
See, as I told you, physical imaging is the best thing. But if while doing physical, if you lose the whole mobile, it is a very critical. So your first step should always for logical, and then go for a physical kind of imaging if supports. Yes. Now, one more interesting thing you should realize that we are not restricted only to imaging of a device. Most of the thing is cloud. If you are able to get the cloud artifacts, whatever is there in the mobile, you will get the same thing from the cloud also. If his Gmail is synced, if his Google Drive is synced, if his something, anything and everything gets synced, photos also, everything gets synced. But yes, physical extraction is there. If you delete it, like I'll tell you a case study in that one of them wiped the mobile and gave it to us during one of the investigations. So he was there in front of us. So we asked him, "You wiped, so you cannot do anything as a forensic expert." So we just told him we had nothing to report actually in this case. So we just told him, "Okay, here's your mobile. Now you switch it on." He switched it on, right? As soon as he switched it on, everything from the cloud came back to his device. जो उसने delete किया था वो वापस आ गया. Understood? And he did it himself. So that became an evidence later. So nowadays most of the things are in the cloud. Most of the thing I'll put 90% things you can get from the cloud artifact.
sir. Sir, one question I also want to ask out of curiosity. Sir, as we are discussing about digital forensic and cyber forensics, and if we are talking in terms of global status, so we are doing well, as India is doing well in this place. But according to you, sometimes we have heard some very confidential data is breached out, ministry websites are hacked. So, what you can comment on this, that we are having a good scenario of this cyber forensic, but still these activities are in. We can listen about these activities. So, how we can deal with that, and how what you can comment on this?
Firstly, I would partially disagree with your statement that we are very good in forensics as such. See, we are good
So
in
we are.
skill
Yes,
set
sir.
when HR, human resource, I'll put it that way. When it comes to technology, we are still lagging and we need this. So we should, so why I said this, we should, as any individual or as this, we should accept that there is a, you can say a scope of improvement, then only we'll be able to improve. First part. Secondly,
Yes.
regarding the website and all, you said it happens. There's nothing called as total 100% security, right? So these things will happen continuously. Even if a small update comes and you update your mobile, that it may be having vulnerability. So it's a continuous security mechanism, and cyber security incident happen in thousands and thousands. If you see per day incident, what the NCRP gave is more than 3,000 incidents are reported per day. It's in lakhs per year. So what I'm trying to tell you here, and these are only reported, non-reported, there may be 10 times or 20 times more from that, or even more than that. And the targets are always the, you can say what you said, there may be government website or some companies or competitors, which is there. So this is there. Incidents are happening. They are happening, and there's a lot of work to be done, right? Because as a India, our internet proliferation is increasing, devices are increasing, people accessing, we are going to digitization, we have done e-commerce. So the attack surface is increasing. If you have an attack surface which is increased, you will have the number of attacks and everyone will try to do it. It's not only from outside, even people from inside for financial gains, they will do this kind of compromise, do a ransomware attack. If it's outsiders or nation state, they will try to attack your critical infrastructure or government sites or this. They will try to take them down, like electrical grid failures. Few failures happen in Mumbai, Karnataka, sometime in a few years back. So these are bound to happen. So here is a factor which comes into picture is resilience. How fast you can get back after being attacked. Right. So cybersecurity is not about only forensics or about being attacked. It's about many other things. It's about how you protect a system, how you detect the attacks, how much resilient you are, how you carry out investigation, how you means it's just a very broad spectrum, I'll go to say. Yes, so yes, the government, not only government, everyone is being attacked, and you read that, and what you read is not even the tip of the iceberg. There are many more things happening which has to be looked into. And so we need good people, good startups, good companies, good teachers, good people like us, examiners, and this. So that's what I would like to answer for your question.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, any other question, please? Either I've confused everyone or convinced everyone. I feel one of the things.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Not
You
confused.
convinced everyone. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, shall we proceed?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. M.P. Gautam, sir, Senior Professor, Sri Vaishnav Institute of Forensic Science, to please present the concluding remark. Please, sir.
Thank you, Archana. Dr. Santosh Khatsar is not new for us. We are all familiar with him. And
Yes.
very surprisingly, he always comes with some new emerging technology, some new emerging facts, which are the need of the forensic science. So thank you very much for presenting a new, for an excellent presentation which you have given. With this lecture, we can conclude that the digital forensic, which is as a digital forensic science known also, is a branch of forensic science encompassing the recovery, investigation, examination, and analysis of material found in the digital devices, often in relation to mobile devices and computer crime. Thus, the digital forensic is the process of identifying, preserving, analyzing, and documenting digital evidence. This is done in order to prevent evidence in the court, to present in the court of law when required. Basically, the main goal of the digital forensic is to extract data from electronic device, process it into actionable intelligence, and present the findings for prosecution. That's why I have told this thing, because I found that Dr. Santosh is familiar with the court proceedings. He also mentioned about his presence in the court as a witness expert. So he actually needs the requirement of the digital forensic, specifically to the FSLs, those who are conducting the examination. One more very interesting thing, he has given some new information to our attendees about the predictive digital forensic. Very nice. Predictive forensic, digital forensic, and specifically anti-forensic technologies. Very good thing. Our newcomer can see some topics, as you have mentioned, Dr. Santu, about the research in this field. They can think, they can proceed in this in this field, in this area. He has also mentioned about the mobile forensic and its challenges. It is also a very good area where we can work for further to remove these challenges, to face these challenges. Now, one more interesting thing, which is directly related to the newcomer and our faculty also, that is that training in the form of diploma, degree, as you have mentioned, in the form of certificate. You know, Dr. Santosh, whenever we go in the court, they generally, in the last lecture yesterday, one judge came to deliver the lecture. We were discussing about the qualification of the expert, who is called expert, and how could you have also realized that you may be a PhD and you may be a something, but court will not decide until unless you don't have the experience in the relevant field. Then it could be considered your expertise relevant in the court. Okay, so I am very much thankful, and we continue to accept our invitation to give some knowledge, new knowledge, as you are giving. I found you always, whenever you come, you give some new knowledge to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Sir, really, we will be grateful if you accept our invitation for further program also. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. All the participants are requested to please stay in the meeting for the next session. We'll start the session at sharp 12 o'clock.
12:30.
12:30. Okay.